Columnist George Will has a new book on conservatism, and it does not mention President Trump. His book is called The Conservative Sensibility. I spoke with Will about it earlier. So you don't mention President Trump's name once in this book. Can you
noticed.
A lot of people noticed that.
Why? I know. They asked me, his name doesn't appear, and I said, neither does the name of Charlemagne or Audrey Hepburn. This is a book about ideas and about the long pedigree of American conservatism, Madison through Lincoln and on, Hayek and Friedman and other luminaries of the conservative movement. Mr. Trump has nothing, emphasized nothing to do with that tradition.
And yet conservatives, or people who call themselves conservatives, have aligned themselves with this Republican president.
That's their decision, but they can't kidnap and hold hostage the conservative tradition. It's much richer, much more subtle, has much more to say about complex issues, political economy, the problem of equality of opportunity, rich, complicated subjects that this president not only doesn't address, I'm not sure he knows their topics.
So you spoke with Ted Koppel for CBS Sunday Morning recently and said by replacing the current president and voting for a Republican Senate, that would begin to return us to normalcy. What did you mean by that?
First of all, to restore normalcy, I mean the end of the name calling and the promiscuous lying. A lowering of the temperature, getting back to the kind of discourse that has been considered normal since George Washington, the first president through the 44th. The 45th is entirely different, and the way to recovery is to stop this. If there's a Republican Senate, there will be very limited legislative damage done because getting stuff through a Republican Senate is difficult. See, I don't think the American people want transformation of their country and society. I think they want tranquility. I don't think they're angry. A few of them are angry, but most Americans are sad and embarrassed. And they're sad because they're embarrassed. And they're embarrassed by the behavior in Washington at the highest levels. And I think what they're looking to vote for in 2020 is normality.
Is what we're seeing, though, some might ask, an anomaly or perhaps the future?
That's what we're going to decide in 2020. 4 years is an anomaly. 8 years. To vote for this, see it in action, and then re-enlist for it, that's something more than an anomaly. That's a bad habit.
So it's interesting to look at the makeup of the Republican Party now. It's shifted according to a poll. This is an NBC Wall Street Journal poll. In 2010, 50% of registered Republicans were non-college educated whites and 40% college educated whites. Now it is 59% non-college educated whites and 30% college educated. How is that perhaps influencing the way in which the Republican Party is approaching various issues?
It's absolutely decisive. The president has decided, he's identified his base, and he thinks by speaking entirely to the base and satisfying the base's strongest appetites, particularly for protectionism and the related hostility toward immigration, he can get reelected. I think he can't. I think this is very difficult to do when you're preaching only to your base and your base isn't big enough to form a majority. Democrats have the same problem. Right now, their candidates in 2020 are speaking entirely to the minority of their electoral base, and that is not a route to victory. Someone's going to get the center. Someone once said, American politics is played within the 40-yard lines. It's basically a centrist operation. And both parties at the moment are forgetting that.
You believe there will be a return to the conservative sensibility that you've written about here?
I think the power of this book is astonishing. I don't know. I hope so. I think ideas have consequences. I think today the absence of ideas in the Republican Party is having consequences. Ideas have been crowded out by the cult of personality.
George Will, thank you so much for your time.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.